In the year 2024, in Jackson, Mississippi, a 33-year-old former police officer, Marcus Johnson, who was a gay, was in a love relationship with his fellow man, that is a 25-year-old nurse named Carlos Collins. After staying in a relationship for 1 year, Carlos decided to break up with him. Marcus felt so bad after he was dumped by Carlos, he could not handle the breakup, and so he began stalking him. He became so controlling and possessive of Carlos. He planned to murder him, and so on. The morning of April 9th, 2024, while Carlos was on his way home from work, Marcus broke into his apartment using another key. When Carlos arrived at his apartment, Marcus shot him multiple times before finishing him off using an axe. Carlos had decided to stop being in a gayism relationship and continue with his normal life. He didn't deserve to die this senseless death. This is the story of Carlos Collins. Carlos Deshawn Collins was born on June 24, 1998 in Yazoo City, Mississippi. Her mother was known as Ashla Hudson, and she also worked as a nurse. She had over 18 years of experience as a licensed practical nurse, LPN. Carlos also had a sister who was known as Alicia Hudson, who was also working as a nurse. Carlos always wanted to follow in his mother's footsteps. He wanted to become a nurse just like her when he grows up. He always went with his mother to do community services. Ashla was so happy with her son's passion in nursing, and she hoped that one day he would become a better nurse than her. After graduating from high school, Carlos went to college where he graduated with a degree in nursing. He then became a registered nurse from Yazoo City. Carlos decided to settle down and focus on his nursing career, so he lived at Tapestry Northridge Apartments on Parkway Drive in Jackson, Mississippi. He began working as a registered nurse at Mississippi Baptist Medical Center. He was known for his dedication, care, and kindness while attending to his patients. Because of the way he touched his patients' lives, he was always nominated as a top nurse at Mississippi Baptist Medical Center. In the year 2022, Carlos met a 33-year-old man known as Marcus Johnson in a nightclub. Marcus was employed as a police officer at Jackson Police Department in Mississippi. He had began his career at Jackson Police Department Academy in April 2013. And after he had graduated from the police academy, he worked in the patrol division for 4 months. Unfortunately, Marcus was an indisciplined police officer. After working for 8 months, he had pending disciplinary actions which he was supposed to face. This made him to resign from the police force on September 10, 2013, before he could get terminated. In April 2014, Marcus allegedly used a police badge number and impersonated an officer at the Palisades Apartments when he wrote a fake ticket to a female student at Jackson State University. He then allegedly told her that he dropped the ticket in exchange for a hookup. So Marcus was arrested and charged with false pretense, grand larceny, and 2 counts of impersonating an officer at an apartment building near Jackson State University. He was also caught in possession of a stolen Jackson Police Department radio and an old ticket book. Unfortunately, he was never convicted of those crimes. Now back to the story. Marcus and Carlos, who were gays, became friends, and later on they began dating each other. Their love relationship was perfect at the beginning. However, after a year of dating, these 2 men broke up towards the end of the year 2023, but unfortunately, Marcus could not handle the breakup. He began stalking Carlos. As time went by, he became very much possessive, controlling, and unpredictable towards him. Marcus placed air tags and trackers on Carlos' Range Rover car. He also installed a ring camera on a nearby vacant apartment to monitor him. Marcus also placed the air tags and the trackers on Carlos' friend's car so that he could monitor him whenever he was with his friend. Later on, Carlos was able to find those trackers and air tags on his vehicle, and he got very afraid. One night, Marcus silently broke into Carlos' Tapestry Apartments in Jackson, Mississippi, and he went into his bedroom. He then began watching him as he slept. When Carlos suddenly woke up from his sleep, he was so shocked to find Marcus in his bedroom. Marcus then fled away from the apartment without harming him. Carlos was so worried. After this incident, he changed his door locks. One Saturday, while Carlos was celebrating a family member's birthday, Marcus also came at the birthday and he sat behind the people. He talked and thought about Carlos in a way that is not normal. Carlos could not take any more stalking from Marcus, so on March 5th, 2024, he went to Jackson Police Station where he filed multiple police reports against him. Carlos even filed for a restraining order against Marcus because he was tired of his stalking. On the early morning of Tuesday, April 9th, 2024, Carlos was heading back to his apartment after work. At that time, Marcus had already broken inside Carlos' apartment using another key, and he sat down as he waited for Carlos to return back. When Carlos arrived at his apartment, he found Marcus inside, eagerly waiting for him. Marcus then pulled out his gun and shot him multiple times. He then used an axe to finish him off. After Carlos had passed on, Marcus fled away from the crime scene. That morning, the neighbors who heard gunshots coming from Carlos' apartment also heard someone yelling at Marcus to stop. They called 911, and soon the police arrived at Carlos' apartment. When they entered inside, they found the body, which they identified to be of the 25-year-old Carlos Collins. The news about the murder of Carlos Collins spread throughout the town, and soon his family and friends had gathered outside the crime scene with a great disbelief. As the police began their investigations, they discovered that Carlos had a ring camera in his apartment. When they analyzed the footage in the camera, they saw how Marcus murdered him. They also saw in the footage how Marcus had been earlier on waiting secretly near Carlos' apartment with the intention of harming him in the days before he murdered him. Immediately, Marcus became wanted for the murder of the 25-year-old Carlos Collins. The police deemed him as armed and dangerous. Meanwhile, the body of Carlos Collins was taken for an autopsy, and the Hinds County coroner, Sharon Grissom Stewart, was able to discover that Carlos had multiple gunshot wounds on his body, and he had also been hit with a blunt object. On Wednesday, April 10th, 2024, at approximately 5:45 p.m., Warren County Deputy Sheriff Dustin Keyes spotted Marcus driving his black Honda Accord car in Vicksburg City, in Mississippi. Mississippi Highway Patrol, Warren County deputies, Richland Parish, Madison Parish, Delta Police Department, and Louisiana State Police joined hands to catch Marcus, who was speeding away. While chasing him, they attempted to flatten the tires of his vehicle so that they can make the vehicle to stop, but they didn't succeed at that moment. Instead, Marcus accelerated to a higher speed and crossed over into Louisiana. The chase continued through Madison Parish, past the town of Tallulah, Richland Parish. Sheriff's officers were able to deflate the tires on his vehicle. Marcus rolled to a stop and he was captured 25 miles outside of Monroe, Louisiana. He was taken into custody at Richland Parish Jail without incident. Marcus was very cooperative with the police, and he confessed to murdering Carlos Collins. He was extradited back to Jackson, Mississippi. During a court hearing on Friday, April 12th in Jackson Municipal Court, Judge June Hardwick denied Marcus a bond because she considered him a flight risk. Marcus's attorney argued that Marcus deserved a bond because he murdered Carlos in self-defense. Unfortunately, the judge couldn't change her mind, and so Marcus remained in the county jail until he went to trial. During the trial, detectives inside the courtroom revealed an axe was used in the gruesome attack on Carlos, and the incident was captured on his Ring surveillance camera. Several misdemeanor charges were brought up against Marcus Johnson. They included making annoying phone calls to an individual in 2018 and stealing an iPad from a church in 2022 while working as a security officer. 2 felony charges in Ridgeland from 2009 were also revealed, one being in possession of burglary tools and the other on false pretense. Marcus Johnson was never convicted of those crimes. He will remain behind bars until his next court hearing. Let us hope that Carlos Collins will get the justice that he deserved. May his soul rest in peace.